Alright, so I have Legacy here. This is from my 826.5 Bayuk. It's a pumpkin I grew last year in terrible conditions. Didn't do any weeding, didn't do any real care, just kind of fed and watered it, did some vine training. But today she's right around day 30, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, pretty close to day 30. She had a split on the blossom end on day 24, day 25, and I siliconed her up, trying to just get some seeds out of it. People have advised me not to do that just because they think that the split was caused by genetics, which in some cases can be the case. I also think that shapes do it. I also think that blossoms, the way that they form, do it. And this one here had seeds in the blossom. It was the only one that I could get pollinated at the time to kind of stay in range for being a competitive pumpkin, so I went with it. And I think that the blossom might have had a twist in it, which made a thinner wall. And then also we had about 4 or 5 out of 8 days in a row rain, so she was doing 40 plus pounds a day. And beautiful pumpkin. Currently sitting at 299 inches. She was still growing today, doing 35 pounds a day. She did slow down in the last 2 or 3 days, but I had used an entire tube of silicone here on the blossom, and it's just now starting to come off on the top. So I figured it's time to quit wasting silicone and money and just see if we can get some viable seeds out of it. If not, it is what it is. But I did cross this with my 2350 Ginger, which is doing very well right now. So I figured maybe the Ginger plant, putting anything in here, if there is something genetically off on this pumpkin itself, that the Tiger King can maybe fix that genetic issue. So just because there's something bad with one seed doesn't mean that they'll all be like that. A good example was Steve Delitis had I believe it was a 1989.5, and 4 other growers grew it, and 3 other growers went close to 2,000 pounds, and 1 grower did go 2,000 pounds. So just because a pumpkin is damaged doesn't mean that it doesn't have that genetic potential still in it. Is a risk, yeah, but I've been working on this seed, and it's got 2009 Wallace in it. It's got 2145. It's got one of the old state records in it, from Illinois. It's got some other really good genetics. 1850 or 1860 Cheneau. I can't remember what it was, but it was a nice big heavy pumpkin. So it's just things that I've been working on over the years, and it has a couple of my strands in it, and good shape. I wish it was a little longer, which is why I added the Tiger King. But enough with all that. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the pumpkin open, see if we got any viable seeds. I'll dry those out and probably test them out here in probably 2, 3, 4 weeks, just to see if they're viable. And then I'm probably gonna pull this plant. I don't think it's really worth trying to grow a 500 or 600 pounder porch pumpkin. I don't see any females on it anyways. I'll double check, but if I do keep the plant, it'll probably only be 250 square feet of it. The rest of it I'll pull and do a cover crop. I also got a nice one going here on the 2294 Knoll, so I'm going to utilize some of this space for that plant. It's still got a pretty decent amount of growth going, considering that pumpkin's already doing about 40 to 45 pounds a day. Again, that's with rain almost every other day or every day, so should start really kicking up if we get some sunny days in here. Alright, be right back when we're cutting in. Alright, let's start cutting into this beast. I want to do a cross section this way because it'll give me the thickness of the walls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top, work my way to the bottom. May have to pause this in between just to make sure I get a decent split out of it. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. First tool all year I ain't had to sanitize when I've cutting into the pumpkin, so it's kind of a different feeling. She's really thick right there, I can tell. And then here's the blossom end, so I should be able to just peel that away. I don't see any mold or rot in there yet. I know it's kind of hard for you to tell with the sun, but I don't see any in there. So that's a good sign that that silicone was working to keep the air out. Alright, I'm getting to the part where I got to do the front, so I'm going to put this on pause, I'll split it, and then come back. Alright, got it split here. She's heavy. So, here's an idea of what we're looking at. So, wall thickness looks pretty good overall. Got at least 6 to 7 inches there. A little less here at the top. That bottom was huge though. Usually the bottom is only like 4 or 5 inches for me. And then you see right here where it gave out. So it was a good, I would say 2 to 3 inches. Right there at the blossom was where it failed. Exactly right at the blossom. And again, it's not for sure. See how it failed right here, coming up to that blossom. And I suspect, because the wall is still thick right there, and that split occurred right here, it's not a thin wall. I suspect that the blossom had a twist or something in it, right where that was, and it caused it to split. It also could have, where you see this come down, with this type of pumpkin, all this weight, I mean that's 7 inches, it could be collapsing inward, and that 2 inches snapped away from each other. See that? So it could just be the shape of the pumpkin, you know? Round pumpkins will do that. Seeds, I don't know. I think they're close, but I don't know if they're going to be viable. Just looking at it. Probably need another 10 or 15 days. But, I mean, everything else looked really good. Again, it was 299 inches. Estimate net, I believe that's 588 pounds or something like that. So we'll call it damaged 588 Bayuk at about 30-31 days. So it was trucking along. Cut it up, get it out of here before it stinks. Anybody that's ever had a stinky rotten pumpkin knows how bad those stink. I will say though that silicone actually did pretty good of holding things out now. Don't know how much longer it would have lasted because I do see a little bit of drip here that was coming from the blossom there. But I mean about 6 or 7 days. So if you were close on seeds, might have been able to push it longer, but mine was getting worse, so it was still growing. Alright, that's all I got. It's a day for this one, but hopefully the next generation carries if they're good. If not, it is what it is.